language of the carnies, the carnival workers, everybody who's not with it, that's you and me, we're marks. And the only purpose of a mark is to cough over money. Now, marks want just three things. They want amazement and wonder. They want a little larceny. They want a little sex. But the carnival gives them, well, they give them the 10-in-1 show with the sword swallower and the bearded lady and the monkey boy. That's wonder. And they give them a little larceny at the flat stands where you throw your basketballs or shoot the whatevers and win the big teddy bear. And for sex, they got the dance of 1,000 veils. It's all the things we're willing to give money. But the carnival is over. The tradition has died. The traveling carnival is gone because we have television. And it brings all of the things of the carnival, plus the latest in news and gossip, right into our living rooms. And we are still the marks. Our job is to consume the content, watch the commercials, and cough up money. Because things are important. We have things on the news that are really important, like the tragedy in Oregon this last week. So you'll hear a lot of, oh, it's so horrible, it's so terrible. Then you'll hear, what are we going to do about it? And then we'll go to a commercial for dental floss. And nothing happens. Because things are important, people not so much. And it's things we're dealing with in today's passage. Actually, Mark spends 4 pieces of the Jesus story linked together to tell us about this. He starts with the one we read last week, but we didn't even come close to talking about because it's very difficult. It's about marriage and divorce. And the way we think of it is completely different than in Jesus' day, because in Jesus' day, you're talking about property. Marriage, adultery, and divorce are all property issues. The father owns the daughter until she marries the man, then the man owns the wife. If anybody despoils his property, that's adultery, and he has the right to throw his property away. It's the thing that matters, not the people in that law. And that's what Jesus is lifting up. It's all about laws, about things, and you're turning women into things. Then we move from there to the children. And it's like night and day, because the children, Jesus has them come in, and he says, these children see the world without seeing things, without having to have things. The children are still wide-eyed. It's like the fellow whose daughter rode with him on the airplane, and she's at the window, and she's just squealing with delight at all the things out there. And she turns to the other passenger and says, you've got to forgive my daughter. She still thinks life is wonderful. Well, that's what it takes to be in the kingdom. That's what it takes. And then comes this young man, who I imagine he was right there, but he could not hear the answer to his question, and yet his question is a little different. His question is, what things do I have to do to acquire eternal life? He says, good master. And Jesus says, you're just buttering me up because you want me to give you something. Have you kept the commandments? Well, yeah, I've done these things since my youth. I can just imagine him laying down in bed at night, and he goes through his checklist. Yep, I did this, and I did this. Kind of like John Wesley. When he was young, he was like that man. He had his list of things that he did methodically. He got up at 4 o'clock to pray, and at 5 o'clock to read the Bible, breakfast at 6, visit the poor at 8, go to the prison at 10, chop, 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 methodically doing all the things it took to be a Christian. But he found that didn't cut it. He went to the colonies. He went to Georgia in America. He went there to save those savages, but on his way home, he said, I could hardly say I was saved myself. That's what Jesus is talking to. He's saying to the young fellow, you gotta give it all away. Sell everything, give the money to the poor. Now, this is not for the sake of the poor. We like to do that. We like a little gift over here, a little charity over there. We like to support that non-profit organization. And we feel good about it because those people get good out of it. That's not what Jesus is talking about. It's not about the poor. It's about you. It's about getting rid of the stuff. It's about letting go of the things. Now, there's nothing wrong with things. We all need some things. We need a roof over our head and food on the table and like to see the kids do well. And we all would like a little better things, like a little nicer roof over our head, a little nicer, a little gourmet dessert on the table. Hint, hint. And some people are driven to do very well. My grandfather did very well because for him, the money was the score for the game he was playing. It's a wonderful game. It's exciting, and there is achievement, and that's a good thing. But it's not the thing that gets us to God's kingdom. John Wesley got back to England, and he moped around for a while, and in May, I think it was the 24th of May, he went to a Bible study. He says he went very reluctantly. And there, though, while somebody was reading Martin Luther's preface to Paul's letter to the Romans, and the guy read something about the old Adam has to die and the new Adam arises, he said he felt a strange warming in his heart, and he suddenly realized Christ died for me. Christ died for my sin, even mine. And he let go of all that stuff that was trying to get himself holy with, and he accepted Christ in a new and rich way. It's not about the ticket. There's some TV preacher that was selling tickets. Well, you gave a donation, and he gave you a ticket to put in your coffin when you died. It's not the ticket. It's not even the reservation. I have a reservation when my ticket's punched, but it's not having that. It is right here, right now, in your life. John Calvin's theology, we don't quite follow it because he has the 5 points. He has total depravity, unconditional election, and he has 3 others. Total depravity, that's true. We all have the image of God all scrambled up, all scrawled on our souls. And it's like a distorted mirror at the fun house. And we think we are things. And we think they are things. We think all the things are what matter. We think God is the thing. And we don't notice that we are unconditionally chosen to be a child of God as you are, at the very base of who you are. Underneath the costume, underneath the mask, you are a child of God. You are the child of God. Just dawned on me that we say we're a child of God. We say, yeah, I know, sometimes God pats me on the head, sometimes God pops me in the bottom. No, we're grown up. And when we grow up, we are no longer the little child. We become the father and the mother ourselves. We become the adult. We are fully human as a child of a human. So if you are a child of God, you are the child of God as you are, then you're a lot closer to God than you think. Because it's not a thing. It's a way of looking at your life. It's a way of a direction that you're pointed. Those rules, those laws that the young man, those things that young man had done are not about those things. They are about a direction you go. The word Torah means arrow. The laws are the arrow to place you on the right path, to direct your feet, and to hit the target of who you are. The only problem happens when we confuse that with things. The story is told about a rich man who was walking on the docks in some poor little village, and he saw a fisherman pull up, and he had just a few fish in his boat. And the well-to-do man says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Oh, I catch a little fish in the morning, and then I sell the fish, and then we go have some lunch, and then I have a siesta with my wife, and then I play with the grandchildren, and then I go out at night, and we play guitar and sing and dance, and I come home, and I lay down in bed, and I thank God for this wonderful life." The businessman said, "Well, you're silly. You should fill that boat with fish and sell them and save up the money and buy another boat, buy a bigger boat and get a crew and start a company and grow that company, and then you can go to New York and you can put your company on the stock exchange and you can make millions and millions of dollars." And the fisherman asked, "Well, what do I do then?" He said, "Well, you can move to a little village and you can fish in the morning and you can eat some food and you can have a siesta with your wife and you can play with your grandchildren." And the fisherman said, "I'd rather just stay here and thank God for my wonderful life."